Am I wrong for refusing to sell my inherited cabin to fund my sister's destination wedding? The Burden Child. Original post, r/AITA. I, 32M, am a commercial pilot. I've been flying for a major airline for 8 years now. Every week, I transport hundreds of people to their dream vacations, their family reunions, their fresh starts in new cities. I help people reach the places that matter most to them. And somehow, my own family treats me like cargo. I need to get this out because I'm sitting in a hotel room in Denver right now, 12 hours before my next flight, and I just got off a call with my parents that left me shaking. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if I finally hit my limit. Let me give you some background. I'm the oldest of 2 kids. My sister Meredith is 28 and works as a jewelry designer in Los Angeles. She's genuinely talented, I want to be clear about that. She creates beautiful pieces and has built a real following on Instagram. My parents have always called her their gift of beauty, because she makes pretty things and, well, she's conventionally attractive. Blonde, slim, the kind of person who looks effortless in photographs. Me. I'm the practical one. The reliable one. The one who was always told to be grateful for what I had because I wasn't blessed with Meredith's gifts. Growing up, I heard variations of, your sister needs more support because her path is harder, and, you'll be fine, you're so capable, so many times that I internalized it as truth. My capability wasn't a compliment. It was a justification for neglect. When Meredith wanted dance lessons, art classes, and summer programs in Paris, my parents found the money. When I wanted to go to flight school, they told me I'd have to figure it out myself because I was so resourceful. I took out loans. I worked 2 jobs during training. I made it happen. And I was proud of that. I still am. But here's where it gets complicated. My grandfather, my mom's dad, passed away 2 years ago. He was the only person in my family who ever made me feel seen. Grandpa Joe was a carpenter who built furniture and small homes his whole life. He wasn't interested in appearances or social media followings or destination weddings. He valued craftsmanship, honesty, and showing up for people. He left me his cabin. It's not a mansion. It's a 2-bedroom A-frame on a lake in northern Minnesota. He built it himself in 1978. The woodwork is incredible. Hand-carved details on the banisters, a stone fireplace he assembled piece by piece, windows positioned to catch the sunrise over the water. When I was a kid, I spent 2 weeks there every summer. Those were the only 2 weeks of the year I felt like I belonged somewhere. Meredith went twice and complained both times about the lack of Wi-Fi and the rustic bathroom situation. After that, she never came back. When Grandpa Joe died, he left the cabin to me specifically. The rest of his modest estate, about $40,000 in savings, was split between me and Meredith. My parents were furious. They felt the cabin, valued at approximately $280,000 now, thanks to the lake property boom, should have been divided equally or sold with proceeds split. I thought we'd moved past that. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, Meredith got engaged to her boyfriend Derek. He's a real estate developer, drives a Tesla, and has opinions about wine that he shares whether you ask or not. They've been together for 2 years. I'm happy for her, genuinely. Finding someone you want to build a life with is meaningful. But then came the wedding plans. They want a destination wedding in Santorini. They've already started planning, a villa rental for the wedding party, a professional photographer who specializes in Greek island ceremonies, a designer dress, the works. The estimated cost? $180,000. Derek's family is contributing $40,000. My sister has about $25,000 in savings. My parents have offered $15,000, which, by the way, is more than they contributed to my entire college education. That leaves a gap of $100,000. Plus, they want another $40,000 as a cushion for unexpected expenses and honeymoon costs. You see where this is going. Last weekend, my parents called me for a family discussion. My mom started by talking about how proud they are of both their children and how important family unity is. Then my dad got to the point. They think I should sell Grandpa Joe's cabin and give Meredith $140,000 for her wedding. I actually laughed. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. My mom's argument, the cabin was always meant to be a family asset. Your grandfather would have wanted it to bring the family together, and what better way than helping your sister have the wedding of her dreams? My dad's argument, you're doing well financially. You have a good career. Meredith's work is less stable, and she deserves this moment. Plus, you don't even use the cabin that much. I use the cabin every chance I get. It's where I go to decompress between trips. It's where I feel connected to the only person in my family who ever really knew me. I said no. And then things got ugly. My mom cried. She said I was being selfish and that I'd always resented Meredith for being more loved. Her words, not mine. Though I guess she finally admitted it. My dad said I was weaponizing an inheritance against my own sister. Meredith, who was on the call, said nothing at first. Then she said, quietly, "I just thought you'd want to help me be happy." I told them the cabin wasn't for sale. I told them that if Meredith wanted a wedding she could afford, she should plan one she could afford. I told them that I'd spent my whole life being the one who figured it out, while they poured resources into Meredith's dreams, and I wasn't going to liquidate the one thing I'd ever been given to continue that pattern. My dad hung up on me. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I've received 2 texts from my mom calling me cold and ungrateful, a long email from Meredith explaining how she's always supported me. I cannot recall a single concrete example, and how this wedding is her once-in-a-lifetime moment, a voicemail from my dad saying Grandpa Joe would be ashamed of me. That last one broke me. Because the thing is, I know Grandpa Joe. I spent countless hours with him at that cabin. I watched him build a rocking chair from a fallen oak. I helped him repair the dock. He taught me that value isn't about price tags or appearances, it's about what you invest your time and care into. He wouldn't be ashamed of me. He'd be ashamed of them. But hearing my dad say that still felt like a knife in my chest. So here I am. Tomorrow I'll get in a cockpit and fly 200 people to their vacations. I'll make small talk with flight attendants. I'll navigate weather systems and communicate with air traffic control. I'll be responsible and competent and professional because that's what I've always been. And my family will continue to treat me like I exist to serve their needs. I don't know what I'm looking for here. Validation, maybe. Or just someone to tell me I'm not crazy. Am I wrong for refusing to sell my grandfather's cabin to fund my sister's luxury wedding? Update 1. 1 week later. I wasn't expecting my post to get so much attention. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, and shared their own experiences. Reading about other people who've been the responsible child in their families, the one expected to sacrifice because they're capable, made me feel less alone than I have in years. A lot of you asked for updates. A lot of you also suggested therapy, boundary setting, and going low contact with my family. I'm working on all of those things. But something happened this weekend that I need to share. I flew up to the cabin. I had 4 days off between rotations, and I needed to be somewhere that felt like mine. The moment I pulled into the gravel driveway and saw the A-frame rising through the pine trees, I started crying. I don't cry easily. I've delivered emergency announcements during turbulence without my voice wavering. But something about seeing that cabin, knowing it was threatened, knowing my family saw it as nothing more than a number to convert into wedding decorations, it cracked something open. I spent the first day just sitting on the dock, watching the lake. I didn't look at my phone. I made coffee in Grandpa Joe's old percolator and ate dinner on the porch where he used to tell me stories about building the place. I felt him there, if that makes sense. Not in a ghostly way. Just in the bones of the cabin, in the craftsmanship he poured into every corner. On the second day, I decided to go through some of his things. When he died, I'd taken his tools and a few personal items, but I'd left most of the cabin's contents intact. There's a closet in the back bedroom where he kept papers, old photographs, and boxes of documents. I'd never fully sorted through it. I found a letter. It was in a manila envelope with my name written on the front in his handwriting. The envelope was tucked inside a carved wooden box I'd made with him when I was 15, my first real woodworking project. He'd saved it. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. The letter was dated 6 months before he died. He must have written it when he knew his health was declining, when he was planning his final arrangements. I'm going to share the whole thing because I don't have the words to paraphrase it. Dear Marcus, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and the cabin is yours. I hope you found this letter before anyone tried to convince you otherwise, but knowing our family, you might be reading it at a moment when you need it most. Let me be direct. Keep this cabin. I'm writing this because I know what's going to happen when I'm gone. Your mother loves you, but she's never understood you. She spent her whole life chasing what looks good, the right clothes, the right friends, the right image. When your sister was born, she saw a reflection of that pursuit. When you were born, she saw something else. Something that confused her. Something she didn't know how to value. You were never the burden she made you feel like, Marcus. You were just different from what she expected. And instead of expanding her understanding of worth, she shrunk you to fit her limitations. I watched it happen for years. I watched them pour into Meredith while you learned to pour into yourself. I saw you work for everything you earned while your sister was handed things she hadn't worked for. I saw the pride you took in your independence and the loneliness that independence cost you. I'm not giving you this cabin because you're my favorite, although I won't pretend I didn't understand you better than I understood anyone else. I'm giving you this cabin because you're the only one who truly values things beyond appearances. When you sat with me on the dock, you weren't thinking about property values or Instagram photos. You were thinking about the lake, the loons, the quiet. When you helped me repair the woodwork, you weren't rushing to finish, you were learning the craft. When I told you stories about building this place, you listened like the history mattered. Meredith walked through here looking at her phone. Your mother complained about the lack of air conditioning. Your father asked me once what I thought I could sell it for. But you, Marcus, you saw what I saw. You understood that a place can be more than square footage and resale value. That some things matter because of what they hold, not what they're worth. This cabin is my life's work. Every beam, every stone, every carefully placed window, I built it with my own hands over the course of 3 years. It's not just shelter. It's a testament to the idea that slow, careful work has value. That beauty can be earned through patience rather than purchased through privilege. I'm trusting you with that testament. Now here's the part where I need you to be strong. When I'm gone, your family will pressure you. They'll call the cabin unfair. They'll say I should have divided things equally. They'll guilt you, manipulate you, maybe even threaten to cut you off. They'll tell you that blood is thicker than inheritance and that keeping the cabin means choosing property over family. Don't believe them. The people who pressure you to give up something meaningful, something you've been trusted with, are not prioritizing your well-being. They're prioritizing their desires. There's a difference. Your family has spent 30 years taking advantage of your self-sufficiency. They've used your capability as an excuse to neglect you and your sister's fragility as an excuse to indulge her. They've trained you to believe you don't need support and trained her to believe she can't survive without it. Both messages were lies. You deserve to be supported, Marcus. And Meredith is capable of supporting herself. She's just never been required to. Keep this cabin. Come here when you need to remember that you matter. Build something here. Bring people here who see your value. Let the lake and the trees and the work your grandfather put into these walls remind you that some things in life are earned through patience and care, and that those things are worth protecting. If the family turns against you for this, let them. The people who truly love you will understand. The people who don't, well, they've been telling you who they are for a long time. Maybe now you'll finally believe them. I love you, Marcus. I always have. I always saw you, even when no one else did. Stay strong. Keep the cabin. Build a life that values what you value. Grandpa Joe. I read this letter 3 times. Then I sat on the floor of that closet and sobbed. He knew. He saw everything, the favoritism, the neglect, the way I'd been conditioned to believe my own needs didn't matter. And he wrote me a letter to remind me that I was worth protecting. I took a photo of the letter. Then I put it back in the carved box and put the box in my backpack. I'm carrying it with me now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know it changes things. The comments on my original post told me I wasn't crazy. This letter told me I was seen. I don't know what happens next with my family. My mom has sent 3 more texts, each one escalating in emotional manipulation. My dad left another voicemail saying he's deeply disappointed in me. Meredith hasn't reached out directly, but she posted an Instagram story about how family should lift each other up in times of celebration, with a quote about support being a two-way street. The irony was not lost on me. I haven't responded to any of it. For the first time in my life, I don't feel obligated to fix this. I'm not the one who broke it. I'll update again if anything significant happens. For now, I'm holding on to Grandpa Joe's words like a compass. Some things are worth protecting. I'm finally starting to believe I might be one of them. Update 2, 6 weeks later. I've started therapy. This probably doesn't surprise anyone who read my previous posts. A lot of you recommended it, and honestly, it was long overdue. I've spent 32 years being the capable one, which meant I never learned how to ask for help or admit when I was struggling. Turns out, that takes a toll. My therapist's name is Dr. Valerie Chen. She specializes in family systems and what she calls role-based identity trauma. Basically, the psychological damage that happens when you're assigned a role in your family, the responsible one, the golden child, the scapegoat, and then treated according to that role rather than as a complete person. We've had 6 sessions so far. In those sessions, I've started to see my childhood differently. I always thought I was fine. I was independent, successful, self-made. Those felt like victories. But Dr. Chun helped me see them as survival strategies, ways of coping with the fact that my emotional needs weren't being met. I learned to not need things because needing things led to disappointment. I learned to be self-sufficient because depending on my family led to being let down. You didn't choose independence, she said during our third session. You were abandoned into it. There's a difference. That hit hard. We've also talked about Grandpa Joe's letter. She called it permission from the only authority figure who ever validated you. She said it was significant that I needed his words to believe I could protect myself, that I'd been so trained to deprioritize my needs that I couldn't trust my own judgment without external validation. The goal, she said, is to get to a place where you don't need a letter to know you're worth protecting, where you believe it on your own authority. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. Meanwhile, things with my family have been complicated. After my last update, my parents requested a family meeting. They wanted everyone together, me, them, Meredith, even Derek, to discuss the situation like adults. They suggested we meet at their house, neutral territory according to them. I declined. Instead, I offered to have the conversation at a family counselor's office with a mediator present. I said I was willing to discuss our family dynamics openly and honestly, but not without professional support. My mom called this extreme. My dad said I was making a statement, instead of trying to solve the problem. Meredith texted me, "This is so unnecessary. We're family. We don't need a stranger involved." I held my ground. I said the counselor's office or nothing. They chose nothing. For about 3 weeks, there was silence. No texts, no calls, no passive-aggressive Instagram stories. Then Easter happened. I wasn't planning to go to my parents' house for Easter dinner. Dr. Chen and I had discussed it, and we agreed that attending without resolved conflict would just reinforce the pattern. Me showing up, pretending everything was fine, swallowing my feelings to keep the peace. But then Meredith called me directly. She didn't mention the cabin or the wedding. She just said, "I miss you. Can you please come to dinner? I know things are weird, but it's Easter." Her voice was different, quieter, less certain. I don't know if I imagined it, but she sounded like the girl I remembered from before she became our parents' project, the little sister who used to follow me around, asking questions about everything. I said yes. Easter dinner was awkward. My parents treated me like a bomb that might explode if handled wrong. Conversations were surface level, work, weather, the new restaurant downtown. Derek talked about a development project in Arizona. Meredith showed photos of jewelry designs on her phone. No one mentioned the cabin. No one mentioned the wedding funding gap. It was like we'd all silently agreed to pretend the last 2 months hadn't happened. I lasted through dinner. Then, during dessert, my dad cleared his throat and said, "Have you given any more thought to the family situation, Marcus?" And I snapped. Not in an angry way. I didn't yell or throw anything. I just said, very calmly, "I'm not selling the cabin. That's not going to change. If this family wants a relationship with me, it needs to be one where my boundaries are respected. If that's not possible, I understand. But I won't keep having this conversation." The table went silent. My mom started to say something, but Meredith cut her off. "Can we talk? Just us. Outside." I followed her to the backyard. We stood by the old swing set, the one my dad put up when we were kids, now rusted and unused. "I've been thinking a lot," she said, "about what you said on that call. About how you've always been expected to figure things out while I got everything handed to me. You called me selfish." "I know." She looked down. I think I was repeating what I'd heard. "Mom and Dad have been saying you're selfish for weeks. It's easier to believe that than to think about what it means if you're not." "What does it mean?" I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. "It means maybe I've been taking from you my whole life without even realizing it. It means maybe the wedding money isn't about the cabin, it's about me expecting the world to keep providing for me because it always has." I didn't know what to say. This was the most honest conversation I'd ever had with my sister. "I don't want the Santorini wedding," she said suddenly. "I never really wanted it. Derek's family suggested it, and Mom got excited, and suddenly there were Pinterest boards and venue deposits and everyone was talking about it like it was already decided. And I just went along with it. Because that's what I do. I go along with things. What do you want?" She laughed, but it was hollow. "I don't know. Isn't that pathetic? I'm 28 years old, and I don't know what I actually want because I've never had to figure it out." We talked for another hour. She asked about the cabin, about Grandpa Joe, about why I'd been so close to him when she barely remembered him. I told her about the summers, the woodworking, the way he listened. I told her about the letter. She asked to read it. I hesitated. The letter felt sacred, a message meant only for me. But something in her expression made me reconsider. She looked lost, searching for something. "I'll think about it," I said. We hugged before I left. It was the first real hug we'd shared in years. Update 3, 4 months later, final update. This is my last update. I'm writing it from the cabin, sitting on the porch where Grandpa Joe used to tell me stories. The sun is setting over the lake, turning the water into orange and gold. It's the kind of evening that reminds me why this place matters. A lot has happened since Easter. First, the family gathering. In June, my parents' wedding anniversary fell on a weekend when everyone was available. My mom suggested a dinner at their house. Nothing fancy, just the immediate family. By then, Meredith and I had been talking regularly. She'd started therapy of her own, working with someone who specializes in what she called golden child syndrome, the flip side of scapegoating, where excessive praise and provision creates its own kind of damage. I was raised to be entitled, she told me during one of our conversations. But I was also raised to be fragile. They told me I was special and beautiful and gifted, but underneath all of that was the message that I couldn't survive without their support. It's like they built me a beautiful cage and then convinced me I'd die if I ever left it. I'd never thought about it that way. I'd spent so long resenting her advantages that I hadn't considered their cost. During one of our talks, I made a decision. I was going to read Grandpa Joe's letter at the anniversary dinner. Not to punish anyone, but because the truth needed to be spoken out loud. Dr. Chen and I had discussed it extensively. She helped me prepare for various reactions: denial, anger, defensiveness, grief. "You're not doing this to hurt them," she said. "You're doing it because secrets protect dysfunction. The truth is the only thing that can change the system." I arrived at my parents' house that evening with a carved wooden box in my backpack. Meredith knew what I was planning. I'd told her beforehand, given her the option to opt out. She said she wanted to be there. She said maybe hearing the letter from Grandpa Joe would help her understand things she'd never been able to see. Dinner was pleasant enough. We ate my mom's pot roast, drank wine, made small talk. My dad gave a toast about 40 years of marriage and the importance of family legacy. The irony wasn't lost on me. After dessert, I asked if I could say something. The table went quiet. I think everyone sensed this wasn't a casual remark. I pulled out the wooden box. My mom recognized it. She frowned, confused. My dad leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, already defensive. "Before Grandpa Joe died," I said, "he left me a letter. I found it a few months ago. I've read it many times. I've discussed it with my therapist. And I've decided that everyone at this table deserves to hear it." "Marcus," my mom started. "Please. Let me finish." I opened the box, took out the letter, unfolded the pages. My hands were steadier than I expected. I think Grandpa Joe was with me somehow, his calm, his certainty that truth was worth speaking even when it was hard. I read the entire letter out loud. Every word. When I finished, the silence was absolute. My mom had tears running down her cheeks. My dad's face was red, his jaw tight. Derek looked uncomfortable, like he'd walked into a conversation he wasn't meant to witness. And Meredith was crying. Not the delicate tears my mom taught her to cry in public. Real, ugly, gasping sobs that shook her whole body. "He saw it," she whispered. "He saw everything, and he never said anything to me." "He tried," I said gently. "Remember those summers he invited both of us? He wanted to share this place with you too." I complained about the bathroom. I complained about the Wi-Fi. She couldn't finish. My dad found his voice. "That letter is one man's opinion. He was always too hard on Linda, always thought he knew better about raising kids." "He was right," my mom interrupted. Her voice was hollow. "He was right, Richard. I knew it. I always knew it. I just didn't want to see it." The room fractured after that. My dad stood up and left the table, said he needed air. My mom kept crying, kept apologizing, not the manipulative apologies I'd heard before, but something rawer, more chaotic. Derek excused himself to take a phone call and didn't come back for 30 minutes. And Meredith came to sit beside me. "I don't want the Santorini wedding," she said again. "I never did. I want something real. Something that actually means something." "What does that look like?" She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Can we do it at the cabin? Just family. Just the people who matter. On the dock where Grandpa used to sit." I thought about the letter. About his wish that I'd bring people to the cabin who see my value. Yeah, I said. We can do that. The wedding. Meredith and Derek got married on the dock of Grandpa Joe's cabin on a Saturday morning in late August. The guest list was 32 people, immediate family, a few close friends, Derek's parents and brother. My mom helped with flowers from a local farmer's market. My dad cooked breakfast for everyone the morning of, the first time I'd seen him in the cabin's kitchen. The ceremony was simple. A local officiant who lived on the lake. Meredith in a simple white sundress she found at a vintage shop. No Pinterest boards, no imported photographers, no five-figure venue deposits. During the reception, if you can call sandwiches and champagne on a cabin porch a reception, Meredith stood up to speak. I need to say something, she said. And I need everyone here to hear it. She turned to me. Marcus, I've spent my whole life taking you for granted. I was raised to believe I was special, that I deserved more, that my needs were more important than anyone else's. And because of that, I never saw you. Not really. I saw someone who was fine, who didn't need anything, who could handle whatever was thrown at him. Her voice broke, but she kept going. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for every time I accepted something that should have been shared with you. I'm sorry for every time I let Mom and Dad treat you like you didn't matter as much as I did. I'm sorry for asking you to sell this beautiful place, this place that Grandpa Joe built with his hands, this place that meant everything to him, just so I could have a wedding that was about appearances instead of love. She was crying now. So was I. You deserved better. You deserved parents who saw you. A sister who appreciated you. A family that valued you for who you are instead of what you could provide. And I can't change the past, but I can promise you this. From now on, I see you. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life being the sister you deserved all along. She hugged me. The guests clapped. My mom sobbed into a napkin. Even my dad, who had barely spoken to me since the anniversary dinner, wiped his eyes. It wasn't a perfect resolution. We're not a movie family with a neat happy ending. There's still tension, still work to do, still therapy appointments and difficult conversations ahead. But it was real. And that's more than we'd ever had before. Where we are now. It's been 5 months since the wedding. Meredith and I meet weekly. Sometimes it's coffee, sometimes it's a video call when my flight schedule gets complicated. We're learning to be siblings, actually siblings, not just people who share parents. She's still in therapy. Her therapist has helped her understand how being the golden child created its own prison, a constant pressure to be beautiful, talented, and perfect, with the unspoken threat that she'd lose everything if she ever fell short. She's working on building an identity that isn't dependent on external validation. I'm learning to want things for myself, she told me last week. Not because Mom approves or because it'll look good on Instagram. Just because I want them. I'm still in therapy too. Dr. Chen and I are working through what she calls earned security, the process of learning to trust relationships after a lifetime of conditional love. It's slow work. Some days I still feel like the burden child, like I'm one mistake away from being disposable. But I'm healing. Slowly. Imperfectly. Consistently. My parents are trying. I want to be clear about that. The anniversary dinner cracked something open in my mom that's allowing her to see our family more honestly than she ever has. She's apologized, real apologies, specific ones, not the vague, I'm sorry you feel that way, deflections I grew up with. My dad is harder. He's not built for introspection. But he's made small gestures, a text after one of my flights asking how it went, an invitation to watch a game together, an acknowledgement that maybe he was too hard on me growing up. It's not enough. But it's a start. And the cabin is still mine. Still standing. Still holding Grandpa Joe's craftsmanship in every beam and stone. I spent last weekend there, replacing some boards on the dock. The work was slow and satisfying, the kind of careful labor that builds something real. While I worked, I thought about his letter. About being the only one who truly values things beyond appearances. About keeping this place and filling it with people who see my worth. I'm doing that now. I'm building a life that values what I value. Patience, honesty, craftsmanship, connection. I'm surrounding myself with people who see me as more than a capable provider of solutions to other people's problems. I'm not cargo. I never was. And for the first time in my life, I truly believe that. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. To everyone who commented on my original post, who shared their own stories, who told me I wasn't crazy, thank you. You were part of my healing process, even if you didn't know it. And to anyone else out there who's been the capable one, the one who's expected to figure it out, the one who was abandoned into independence, you deserve better too. You deserve to be seen. To be supported. To be valued for more than what you can provide. You're not a burden. You never were. Stay strong. Build something real. And if you're lucky enough to have a Grandpa Joe in your life, someone who truly sees you, hold on to their words like a compass. They'll guide you home.